Sandra Lake said, "With travel comes understanding. May the light of our chalice lead us on a journey today and always."
The late, great Anthony Bourdain, he wrote, "Travel isn't always pretty. It isn't comfortable. Sometimes it hurts. It even breaks your heart, but that's okay. The journey changes you. It should change you. Sometimes it leaves marks on your memory, on your consciousness, on your heart, and on your body. You take something with you, and hopefully you leave something good behind." Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Des Moines digital service. I'm Reverend Amy Petrie Shaw. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. Today we'll be talking about traveling and not being able to travel. I'm speaking to you now from land that's the traditional territory of the indigenous Pohote, or the Iowa people. Donnie Fiddler's today's celebrant. Bruce Martin is our pianist, and Barb Martin, our song leader. We'll be having some special music from Doug Hoffman later in the service. As always, please keep your mics off, but you're welcome to have your videos on during the entire service. And after the service, you're welcome to turn your microphone on and join us in a breakout room for coffee hour. This afternoon at noon, I'll be opening up the room again, the same link. If anybody wants to come in and talk about the service or the sermon or anything else. So that's at noon. Please feel free to join me. As I said right before the service, this service is brought to you partially by the lack of internet that most of our folks are having. Donnie and her family are having strong issues with their internet. So they kindly pre-recorded some of their bits of the service. So please just bear with us as we go through these.
Good morning. I'm Donnie Fiddler, and my pronouns are all female. I've been a member of this church for many years. I really don't remember when I joined. Way back, long time ago. I met my husband, Doug Hoffman, through church and made many really good friends that I've stayed connected with over the years. While Doug and I spend our winters in Florida now, it's really good to get back and reconnect with everybody, although I will say reconnecting these days is a little different, and you can actually reconnect from anywhere. So that's our new normal. Over the years, I've traveled to many places. I still have a bunch more on my bucket list. And Doug and I have taken many trips that have been really enjoyable. And one was a driving trip out west. Some of the time we spent in Montana, which you will hear about a little bit later. And I just want to say welcome to all who are joining us today.
Our gathering song this morning is number 1007. So there's a river flowing in my soul. And the words are going to be copied in the chat screen as soon as I can do that. So please keep your mics muted and feel free to sing along at home if you would like.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my soul.
Thank you so much, Barb. That was great. Our time for all ages today story is How to Make an Apple Pie and See the World by Marjorie Priceman, and it's read by Aidan Heaton.
How to make an apple pie and see the world by Marjorie Priceman. Making an apple pie is really very easy. First, get all the ingredients at the market, mix the well, bake, and serve. Unless, of course, the market is closed. In that case, go home, pack a suitcase, take your shopping list and some walking shoes. Then catch a steamship bound for Europe. Use the 6 days on board to brush up on your Italian. If you time it right, you'll arrive in Italy at harvest time. Find a farm deep in the countryside. Gather some superb semolina wheat. An armful or two will do. Then hop on a train to France and locate a chicken. French chickens lay elegant eggs, and you only want the finest ingredients for your pie. Coax the chicken to give you an egg. Better yet, you can bring the chicken with you. There's a less chance of breaking the egg that way. Get to Sri Lanka any way you can. You can't miss it. Sri Lanka is a pear-shaped island in the middle of the Indian Ocean. The best cinnamon in the world is made there from the bark of native karundu tree, and peel off some bark. If a leopard is napping beneath the tree, be very quiet. Hitch a ride to England. Make the acquaintance of a cow. You'll know she's an English cow from her good manners and charming accent. Ask if you can borrow a cup of milk or two. Even better, bring the whole cow with you for the freshest results. Stow away on a banana boat headed to Jamaica. On your way there, you can pick up some salt. Fill a jar with salty seawater. When the boat docks in Jamaica, walk to the nearest sugar plantation, introduce yourself to everyone, tell them about the pie you're making, then go into the fields and cut a few stalks of sugarcane. Better fly home. You don't want the ingredients to spoil. Wait a minute, aren't you forgetting something? What about the apples? Have the pilot drop you off in Vermont. You won't have to go far to find an apple orchard. Pick 8 rosy apples from the top of the tree, give 1 to the chicken, 1 to the cow, and eat 1 yourself. That leaves 5 for the pie. Then hurry home. Now all you have to do is mill the wheat into flour, grind the karundu bark into cinnamon, evaporate the seawater from the salt, boil the sugarcane, persuade the chicken to lay an egg, milk the cow, churn the milk into butter, slice the apples, mix the ingredients, and bake a pie. While the pie is cooling, invite some friends over to share it with you. Remember that the apple pie is delicious topped with vanilla ice cream, which you can get at the market. But if it happens to be closed, you can eat it plain.
That one was cute. A new UU minister had just gotten her first church, and wouldn't you know it, she decided to be a little too formal. She preached her first service wearing a black shirt with the white ministerial collar. And after the service, the children were all fascinated by this strange clothing. And one of them asked to see the white collar insert. The minister pulled out the white plastic piece and handed it to the child. "There are words on the back of it," she told the kid, thinking about the cleaning instructions molded onto the back. "Do you know what they say?" "Sure," the kid said without looking. The minister was surprised. "You do? What do they say?" "Kills fleas and ticks for 6 months," the child said confidently. "So that we might continue to assure that our buildings and programs are free of infestations and to support all the programs of the church. The morning offering will now be given and received through the link in the chat. 1/2 of this electronic plate goes to the social justice programs of the church, and 1/2 to our Faith in Action partner, One Iowa. Thanks, Bruce. That was great. I have a brief message here from Cheryl Long talking about Amos.
Hey, Superman, what are you doing?
I'm trying to make some changes to our government. With my superpowers, you'd think I could do this, but nothing's working.
Well, we superfolk can leap tall buildings in a single bound, but only a big group of everyday people can push for real changes. Amos brings together a load of people so that they have the superpowers to do things like in March, when they pushed Iowa unemployment to hire 100 more workers to get people unemployment checks that were stalled.
Wow, where can I hear about what Amos does, and how can I say what I think needs to work better?
I'm so glad you asked, because there are 3 Amos House meetings planned on Zoom. One Sunday, August 23rd at 5 p.m., another on Monday, August 24th at noon, and a third on Wednesday, August 26th at 6 p.m. The Zoom dates and times are just now being shown in the chat box, and you can also find them in the intercom.
But I need to register, right?
Yes, that's right, so that we can know how many are coming and make sure that we have meaningful groups when we do the breakout rooms.
Let's go sign up for one of the Zoom calls now. I want to hear about Amos, and I've got a lot of things to say.
Yes, let's get our Amos superpowers in gear.
How do you get to Amos? Amos.org.
Lyra, I think you had a small announcement about small groups.
Yes, thank you. If you missed the announcement in the intercom, our small social groups are now up and going. So go to the website. I am putting a link in the chat. So sign up on the website at the link. You can see what's out there. And if you are interested in facilitating a small group, please email me. I will put my email in the chat. Thank you.
Thanks, Lyra. One of the really important things about the church is the church isn't a building. Church is our community. And the major part of what we're here for is to be here for one another. We're here for each other as a community of human hands and human hearts, and we're here when it's good and when it's bad and when it's anywhere in between. I'd like to share together now by putting their names in the chat, the names of anyone you know who could use some special care and attention this week. Type the names into the chat, and may the love of this community hold them all. For those of you who don't know, Lisa Houchins lost her father suddenly this past week, and I'm sure she would appreciate some extra love and attention. May the light of our community shine on the broken places of the world. May we travel together with all those who fight for equity and justice in human relations. May the work of our hands and our hearts support and comfort all those who are marginalized and oppressed, silenced, or at risk. May we be called to mindful action by the needs of those who struggle against violence and pain, degradation and destruction. May those of us who are grieving be comforted. May those of us who are tired find rest. May the broken places be healed. May those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant. Together we light 3 candles, one for the joys and the sorrows we've shared, one for the names that we've written, and one last candle for all of those joys and all of those sorrows which are deeply held, but which we haven't spoken here today.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul.
As my t-shirt says, travel is lethal to prejudice, bigotry, and closed-mindedness. Travel can be done by taking a train, a plane, a car, or just traveling in your mind. And traveling can be inspiring. One place I have traveled that has tugged at my heart is Peru. I found the Incan culture amazing. They built many temples and trails out of stone. very big stones. I think that's why their culture is still alive today. Even after the invasion of the Spanish, earthquakes, and jungle growth, their traditions live on. There is still an Incan king who, while he's mostly ceremonial, inspires the people. They endure. I find that inspiring. I have also spent some time in other countries experiencing their cultures. While I have also always been a visitor, not really living in the country, I was not a tourist on tour. I was exposed to more of what life was like in these places. I found this inspirational as I learned about the people, traditions, and the daily challenges. That gave me a different perspective, at times a humbling one, that stays with me. Don't get me wrong, there are places in the US that are inspiring as well. Looking across mountaintops in the West, I feel humbled by the majesty. And there is an openness to the plains that brings out my own openness. And the culture varies here too. I grew up in New Jersey, and no, it's not pop, it's soda. It's only when you give yourself up to your new surroundings that you begin to listen, that you begin to see what others are experiencing and what they have to offer. If you're able to give up enough of yourself, you may be able to learn and carry what you learn with you.
Honeybees hover all around the hive, heat-seeking vultures scout the land from the sky. A thin ball of rain hits the mountainside. I like that about Montana. Clear river meanders through a meadow of flowers. Sun sets on the mountain, late evening hours. The sky is full of Milky Way and meteor showers. I like that about Montana. You won't understand if you're just passing through. It's 500 miles from side to side. But each day you spend there, you'll find something new. Just take the blue highways and hang on for the ride. Sunlight at the base, all the hillsides in green. From Glacier to the Big Horns and points in between. More wild country than you ever seen. I like that about Montana. Thunderstorm threatens the fury of Thor. Cattle seek shelter by the pole barn door. Folks hardly notice they've seen all this and more. I like that about Montana. like the people who say this is no place for an easy life. But some folks, they're drawn here to live anyway. This spectacular land steals the sting from the strife. Ghost towns abandoned when the mines close down. Their bones on the landscape, they're dead in the ground. Except for the wind there, you won't hear a sound. I like that about Montana. Yes, I like all that about Montana.
This service is about traveling. You may not be able to travel right now, but let's go on a journey anyway. Sit back, assume a comfortable position, no seatbelts necessary. This is a journey in your mind. But any journey begins with some preparation. To begin your journey, imagine yourself in a room or a small cottage, a special space of your own creation. You get to design it any way you want. It may have big windows or small portholes, soft cushions on the floor, or a big sofa. Everything is how you design it, and you can build it as we go. Can you see your space? It can evolve over time. One thing you want to have in your special space is a doorway. This is a door where others will enter if you invite them in. You think their name and they appear. You can chat with them. Anyone you want. Anyone. And in this time of technology, you should have a computer. But this isn't just any computer. This is one that will answer your questions, your real questions, your deepest questions. Let's take some time to get to know this place and make it your own. Stay in your place. Now, the last wonderful thing about this place of yours is that you can also take it anywhere. You can go wherever you want. Just look out the window and see where you are. You are completely safe in your space, and right outside your window is any place you want to go, any place you want to be. It can even take you back in time or forward. Quite a special place. Now, take some time to explore some of those places you've always wanted to go. What are you seeing outside of your window from your special space? The places you go The things you have in your space will always be there for you. You can return whenever you want. It is yours. But for now, let's get ready to leave this space that we have created and return to our physical world, relaxed in knowing we will go back there again. Our final reading is from Travels with Charlie by John Steinbeck. When I was a very young person, the urge to be someplace else was on me. I was assured by mature people that maturity would cure this itch. Nothing has worked. Once a bum, always a bum. I fear the disease is incurable. I set this down not to inform others, but to instruct myself. When the virus of restlessness begins to take possession of a wayward man, the victim must find him in himself a good and sufficient reason for going. A bum has a built-in garden of reasons for going. Next, he must plan his trip in time and space, choose a direction and a destination, and last, he must implement the journey. Once the journey is designed, equipped, and put in process, a new factor enters and takes over. A trip, a safari, an exploration is an entity, different from all other journeys. It has personality, temperament, individuality, uniqueness. A journey is a person in itself. No two are alike. And all plans, safeguards, policing, and coercion are fruitless. We find after years of struggle that we do not take a trip takes us. Tour masters, schedules, reservations, brass-bound and inevitable, dash themselves into wreckage on the personality of the trip. Only when this is recognized can the balloon in the glass bum relax and go along with it. Only then do the frustrations fall away. In this journey, it's like a marriage. The certain way to be wrong is to think you can control it. I feel better now having said this, although only those who have experienced it will understand.
Thank you so much, Honey, and thank you all for bearing with us as we work through using the taped versions and not live. Our centering song today is number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us through the hard night.
Thank you so much, Barb. You know, it seems like an odd topic to do during a pandemic, travel. But it's something I've been thinking about a lot, and when Donnie came up with the idea of doing this service, I jumped on it. I started out by thinking about Gates McFadden. Funny choice, but Cheryl Gates McFadden, for those of you who don't know, she's an American actress and she's a choreographer from Ohio. You might know her as Star Trek's Dr. Crusher, the redhead, or you may have seen her choreography in The Muppets Take Manhattan and other Jim Henson projects. She's an amazingly embodied artist. Her work on stage and screen covers a little more than 50 years. She has a deep devotion to the craft of acting. When Gates McFadden left Brandeis, and this is a story I had heard years ago, she left Brandeis University and she decides she's going to go to Paris. And she takes on this amazing journey to go study with Jacques Lecoq, who had a school of physical theater there, and I believe that the school is still in existence. So she's young, she's just finished her BA, and she goes to Paris, this Ohio girl, to work with this amazing person. Whoever's not muted, please mute for me. So when, hold on 2 seconds so I can fix that muting. There we go. So she has talked about this experience for the rest of her life, this experience of going to Paris and studying at this school. And she said it was the most amazing thing she ever saw. They got there and she expected a frenetic course of learning how to move her body. And what she got was the opposite. They studied stillness to understand motion. And they studied silence to understand sound. Henry Moore might have been talking about the experience she had when he wrote, "To know one thing, you have to know the opposite." And that really sparked me thinking. And then Jean Romas sent me a link the other day to a poem that I was already familiar with, presented in a brand new way. So I was already thinking about this idea of opposites. A few months ago in March, Kitty O'Meara wrote a new poem, a poem about what was going on in our world, and it's called "And the People Stayed Home." Nothing more opposite of travel than that. And the people stayed home. They read books and listened and rested and exercised and made art and played games and learned new ways of being and were still and listened more deeply. Some meditated, some prayed, some danced, some met their shadows. And the people began to think differently. And the people healed. And in the absence of people living in ignorant, dangerous, mindless, and heartless ways, the earth began to heal. And when the danger passed and the people joined together again, they grieved their losses, and they made new choices, and they dreamed new images, and created new ways to live and heal the earth fully as they had been healed. It's a gorgeous poem full of some amazing ideas. Composer, and I'm not going to pronounce this name right, I know, John Corigliano, who's a famous composer. He liked that poem so well that he set it to music. And he got opera singer Renee Fleming to sing it. It's an amazing video, and I'd like you to see it so that you can feel this.
And the people stayed home and read books and listened and rested and exercised and made art and played games and learned new ways of living and were still and listened more deeply. Some meditated, some prayed, some danced, some met their shadows. And the people began to think differently, and the people healed. And in the absence of people living in ignorant, dangerous, mindless, and heartless ways, the earth began to heal. And when the danger passed and the people joined together again, they grieved their losses and made no choices and dreamed no images and created new ways to live and held the earth firmly as they had been healed.
Mark Twain said that broad, wholesome, charitable views of people and things can't be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all of one's lifetime. Travel expands the heart and soul Samuel Johnson said, the use of traveling to regulate imagination with reality. And instead of thinking of how things must be, see them as they are. We need to explore. It awakens something inside of us. We're not built as a species to stay locked in a box. Exploration calls us to see the world in more complete and more complex ways. And here we are in the middle of a pandemic. It's not easy to head for Montana today with your backpack, to go hang out and see friends. It might not be possible to explore Incan ruins or wander off to see the Brazilian jungle. Our borders are closed. And the people stayed home, studying stillness to understand movement. Use your time wisely and heal. Study the places you will go. Dream about the trips that are still to come. Plan the picnics in Door County and the trips to Ireland. Take the small trips that you can take. Do the things that you can do safely, that you are willing to risk. But for those things you can't, don't give up your love of traveling, the experience of traveling. Begin the process now. Read and learn and make picture books from ideas torn from old magazines. Make lists, endless lists of the places you want to be. Study a new language, save just a little more money, plot and plan, and get ready to go. In J.R.R. Tolkien's wonderful novel, The Lord of the Rings, the wizard Gandalf says, it's a dangerous business going out your door. You step onto the road, and if you don't keep your feet, there's no knowing where you might be swept off to. For me, that's an amazing thought right now, where I can't be swept much of anywhere. You go out of your door, you take one step outside of your door, and you put your feet on the driveway. And you have to remember that that same stretch is connected to all sorts of roads. You begin there, one step. The road that leads you to Hy-Vee also leads you to someplace like Omaha. It leads you to someplace like Florida. It leads you deep in the Central American jungle. It begins with one step. You're not trapped in a box. You've just only taken the first step and turned around. It's only a matter of how far you went today. Don't mourn for the trips that you can't take right at this moment. Take the trips you can. Do what you can do safely. Celebrate the little journeys. Think about the fact that that one step is part of an interconnected series of ways that lead you everywhere. They will be ready when you are. Author Ray Bradbury said, stuff your eyes with wonder. Live as if you drop dead in 10 seconds. Make every second amazing. Bradbury said, see the world. It's more fantastic than any dream made or paid for in factories. Because the last part of that poem, that last part, the people stayed home. Yes, they did, but not forever. And when the danger passed, the people joined together again, and they grieved their losses, and they made new choices, and they dreamed new images. and created new ways to live and heal the earth fully as they had been healed. We will get out of our boxes again and we will travel again to a world made fresh by our eyes that have waited just a little bit. Happy travels. We extinguish our light, but never the light of love, the fire of commitment, or the warmth of our community. Our last song today is number 118, This Little Light of Mine, and the words are going to be on the chat screen. There we go. Barb and Bruce, you're muted.
Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Thank you. That was great. The service has ended and your service in the world begins again. May your travels be amazing. Peace, ashe, and may it be so.
They're going out there.